What is going on, Hive Warriors? It's your boy Edward V, and today we're going to talk about what to eat to start your fast. A lot of people have interest in what you should eat when you break your fast, but what about when you start your fast? Is there an importance there? Is there something that you should do that you should be looking out for when starting your fast, when you have that last meal? Well, we're going to tackle that question in this video. Stay tuned. Okay, first of all, before you even talk about what you should or should not eat to start a fast, or basically to end your eating time frame, you have to understand what protocol, what intermittent fasting protocol you're actually doing. If you're doing the OMAD diet, then what you use to start your fast is the same thing that you use to break your fast. So in that aspect, you'll be focusing on what you actually want to eat to break your fast, and is that more important than what you want to eat to start your fast, since it's the same meal. Making sure that you're going into your fast efficiently and more comfortably may trump making that meal more geared towards how you're starting your fast, if that makes sense. Breaking your fast and making sure you're doing that correctly may be a little bit more important than starting your fast. So if you're doing the OMAD diet, understand that whatever you're doing, whatever you're using to break your fast, that will take more priority than what you need to do to start your fast, since you're only eating that one meal. Now, there's other intermittent fasting protocols. There's the 16-8, and the 16-8, this definitely could apply. The start your fast focused meals could apply to this, as well as the 20 hours and 4-hour eating window, which is the warrior diet. So what should you eat if you are starting your fast, if you're ending your eating period? The one strategy that you can use, because you do have to understand that although fasting is biological and it helps you with regulating hormone levels to give you that beneficial fat burning system where your body is utilizing body fat for energy, thus burning body fat, but it's also psychological. You do have to consistently play a game of psyching yourself out so that you can do the fast until it's comfortable for you, or so that you can extend your fast a little bit longer, whatever you need to do. These things are as much a mental game as well as it is a biological game. So eating a big meal right before you start your fast can help you psychologically, to give you less of an opportunity to break your fast prematurely, as you will feel satiated and feel satisfied with your final meal. If your final meal is something small, if your final meal is something that you probably won't enjoy, especially if you're not fat adapted yet, or if you're kind of new to intermittent fasting, it's going to eat at you at the back of your brain, and it might make you want to eat something prematurely just because you feel that you're going to be deprived of the sensation of eating, the satiation of eating and being full and feeling satisfied about the food. You're going to be deprived of that, so then you're going to probably break your fast early, way earlier than you want to. And that's something we want to avoid. So if you build into a bigger meal, that's very, very beneficial for you. Also understand how your body works. The more carb fueled foods you eat, the higher your insulin is going to go, and the longer it's going to take to drop down so that it can get to that post absorptive range, which is where you want it to be, because then after it's at that range, that's when you start to burn the body fat. A lot of people think that the moment you stop eating is when you start burning body fat, and that is not the case. It's the moment your insulin drops all the way down to its baseline level and then decides to switch over from using glycogen as fuel to using body fat as fuel, and that's when the body fat burning starts, and that normally takes 6 to 12 hours, depending on how fat adapted you are and the foods that you eat. So if you want to get there a little bit quicker, consuming predominantly fats would make it much better for you to get there, since it has the lowest amount of glucose in your body when you consume fats. Plus, fats is very calorie dense, so if you have trouble getting your calories in, eating a lot of fats will help you get there. Another strategy you can incorporate is having your meal size based on the calorie count be exactly the same every time you eat, so that if you do end your fast earlier, you don't feel like you're missing out on your special meal. There have been countless times where I'm doing something, I'm eating my meals, and then something big comes up. I have to do something specific. I have to help somebody out with something, some type of a fixture in the home, or I have to drive somewhere and pick somebody up. And then by the time I know it, I'm way past my eating window, and I'm not trying to go and eat something now that I'm past my eating window. If I felt satisfied with the last meal that I ate, I won't feel too much like I missed out. because at least I had a decent meal. So if you feel that your schedule for the day might not be completely open for you, so if you don't know that you're going to be home or that you're not going to have to do anything specific, anything that may take you way past your eating window, then I would suggest satiating yourself with every single meal. Also, one thing that people have asked me is about the bloating. Now, you have to understand what's happening when you're bloated. When you're bloated, are you truly gaining body fat? You're not. What's happening is that your body and your stomach is expanding simply because of the types of foods that you ate and the amount of food that you ate. But once you go into your fast, that's going to go away eventually. The bloating will go down. As soon as you go into your fast, go to sleep, wake up, you're not going to be bloated anymore. And you're probably rushing to the bathroom in the morning. Don't be so scared of bloating. As I said, it isn't body fat. Try to embrace the fact that you might be bloated, that you may get bloated a few times because you do intermittent fasting. You do eat a lot of meals in a small time window. So yeah, you might see some bloating since you're putting all the calories in one shot, but we could almost say that it's a cosmetic thing. It's not anything to worry about. It will go away and then you should be fine. But if you're worried about bloating, if you're worried about that expansion and all of that, then you can reverse everything. You can eat your biggest meal in the beginning and then eat your smallest meal at the end, but understand that you may not feel satisfied. You may feel like you're missing something, and psychologically that might mess you up to break your fast. And trust me, I know a lot of people who have been doing intermittent fasting for months, and then one little thing triggers them and then they break their entire fasting regimen, and then it's extremely difficult for them to come back into it because you start rationalizing things in your head. You start saying, well, I already broke my fast, so it's not a big deal if I break it now. It's not a big deal if I do it again today. It's not a big deal if I do it again on this third day, and then you're already in that downward spiral. Now you have to try to switch yourself back to fasting, and it's going to be as difficult as it was the first time around, especially if you haven't been doing it for an extreme amount of time, like 2-3 years of intermittent fasting, because your body has become much more used to switching to body fat for energy. So basically, the longer you do intermittent fasting, the more fat adapted you are, so you're less susceptible to relapse and go back into just eating normally. So when you're early on, just be very, very careful how you break your fast. Make sure that you are 100% satisfied to fight against that urge mentally to eat again during your fasting time. And also make sure that when you are fasting, you are drinking water, because this will help you release the bloating much faster. The more water you drink, the more water you release. If you eat food that contain a lot of salt, then you can drink some water. If you eat foods that contain a lot of potassium, bananas for example, then you can pull back a little bit on the water because the potassium is directly fighting against the salt. Potassium is like the opposite of the salt. Potassium helps you release water. Salt helps you hold on to water. So some people might tell me, well, what if I'm going to the gym? What if I'm going to the gym next? What if I break my fast and then right before I start fasting, I go to the gym? So basically you're going to the gym in a fed state. And a lot of people tell me that they do this because they want the carbs to give them the energy to work out. Now, what I would suggest is that you try your best to go to the gym in a fasted state, because yes, you can go to the gym after you eat, but if you're eating carb heavy foods so that you can have energy to go to the gym, you're not training your body to use your body fat as energy when you exert a lot of energy. Your body can work efficiently on both glycogen and fats. Glycogen is produced predominantly by the carbohydrates that you eat, and fats are utilized when this thing is already depleted. So your body will go here first, and then your body will go here second. And if you're not used to using body fat as fuel, then your body is going to feel weird. Your body is going to reject what you're doing. Your body is going to send you signals that make you uncomfortable so that you don't do this. Headaches, things like that. You're going to feel weak in the beginning, but in reality, it's just your body adjusting. It's the same thing as a heroin addict. If you are a heroin addict, you're going to feel like crap when they take you off of heroin, when you're trying to go through the rehab process. After your body adjusts because you're not using the heroin anymore, it will then be much better on the other side, better than when you were actually using the heroin to begin with. It's the same thing training your body to switch from predominantly using glycogen to using body fat. So what I say to that is try to train yourself to go into your workout in a fasted state. It'll actually be more beneficial for you, as when you work out fasted, you are tackling body fat, especially if you're in that post-absorptive range. And that's it, guys. I would focus more on the mental aspect, as things like bloating and feeling that your stomach is extremely full or big because of the bloating are more cosmetic than anything else. And making sure that you're satisfied before going into your fast is pretty critical and crucial, because you don't want to break your fast prematurely that night or early in the morning because you're having these thoughts that you weren't fully satisfied right before going into your fast. And I want to thank my patrons from my Patreon, and I'm going to put their names right up here. And of course, guys, as always, I'll see you on Sunday for another FAQ. Peace!